Imagine someone smiling at you, supporting you, even calling you a friend, while secretly hoping you fail. The uncomfortable truth is that some of the people around you may not actually want you to win. But the truth always leaks through behavior. There are 6 subtle things people who secretly hate you almost always do. And once you notice them, their mask becomes impossible to ignore. Think about the people in your life for a moment. Have you ever left a conversation feeling strangely drained, doubting yourself, or wondering if that compliment was actually an insult? If you've ever felt that, you're not imagining things. Hidden resentment has patterns. And today we're breaking down the 6 most common signs so you can recognize them early and protect your energy. One of the most common behaviors of someone who secretly dislikes you is the use of backhanded compliments. At first glance, these statements sound positive, even supportive. They are delivered with a smile, friendly tone, or casual humor, which makes them difficult to challenge in the moment. But when you listen closely, the compliment carries a hidden insult or a subtle attempt to undermine your confidence. This tactic allows the person to express their negativity without appearing openly hostile. For example, someone might say, "You look great today, I barely recognized you," or "That presentation was surprisingly good." The sentence technically contains praise, but it also suggests that the person normally expects less from you. The hidden message becomes more powerful because it plants a small seed of doubt. Instead of feeling fully appreciated, you may start wondering if the compliment was genuine or if there was criticism hiding inside it. People who secretly resent you often rely on this behavior because it protects their image. If you react negatively, they can quickly pretend that you misunderstood their words. They might say they were only joking or that you are being too sensitive. This shifts the focus away from their subtle insult and places the responsibility on you, making it harder to address the situation directly. Over time, repeated backhanded compliments can slowly affect how you see yourself. Each small remark may seem insignificant on its own, but together they create a pattern that chips away at confidence. The person delivering these comments may feel a quiet sense of control because they can diminish your achievements without openly confronting you. This is why paying attention to tone, context, and patterns of communication matters. Genuine supporters celebrate your success clearly and directly. When praise consistently carries a hidden sting, it often reveals feelings that the person is unwilling to admit openly. Another clear behavior of someone who secretly resents you is their tendency to minimize your achievements. When something good happens in your life, whether it's a promotion, completing a project, learning a new skill, or reaching a personal goal, most supportive people respond with genuine excitement. They acknowledge the effort you put in and allow you to enjoy the moment. But a person who secretly dislikes you often reacts very differently. Instead of celebrating your success, they subtly reduce its importance. This can happen in several ways. They might immediately point out how easy the achievement was, suggesting that almost anyone could have done it. For instance, if you share that you received recognition at work, they may respond with something like, "Well, that company gives awards to everyone," or "You were just lucky this time." The words may sound casual, but the underlying message quietly removes the value of your accomplishment. Sometimes the minimization appears through comparison. Instead of acknowledging your success, they bring up someone else who has done something better. If you mention reaching a milestone, they may respond by saying, "That's good, but my friend achieved something much bigger." The attention quickly shifts away from you, leaving little room for appreciation or encouragement. Another common pattern is changing the subject. When you share something meaningful, they may offer a short, uninterested response before immediately talking about themselves or something unrelated. This lack of engagement can feel confusing, especially when you expected a moment of shared happiness. People who secretly resent you often behave this way because your success highlights their own insecurities or unresolved frustrations. Rather than confronting those feelings honestly, they attempt to protect their ego by making your achievement appear smaller than it really is. Over time, this pattern can create an environment where you feel hesitant to share good news, because every moment of pride is quietly reduced instead of recognized. Subtle jealousy is another behavior that often appears when someone secretly resents you. Unlike obvious envy, which is easy to recognize, subtle jealousy hides behind humor, sarcasm, or casual remarks that seem harmless on the surface. The person may continue interacting with you normally, but small comments and reactions begin to reveal an underlying discomfort with your progress, abilities, or opportunities. One common sign is sarcastic joking about your achievements. When you share something positive, they might laugh and say something like, "Look at you becoming famous now," or "Don't forget us little people when you make it big." These comments are often delivered playfully, making them seem like friendly teasing. However, repeated remarks like this can signal that your growth makes them uneasy. Instead of feeling inspired or supportive, they attempt to frame your success as something exaggerated or amusing. Another way subtle jealousy appears is through dismissive humor. If you talk about your goals or ambitions, the person might respond with jokes that quietly question your capability. They might say things like, "Wow, aiming high today," or "That sounds ambitious for someone like you." Even though they may laugh afterward, the underlying message suggests doubt about your potential. Body language can also reveal this hidden jealousy. Someone who secretly envies you might appear uncomfortable when others praise you. They may stay silent, change the topic, or quickly redirect attention to something else. Their reactions often feel slightly off, as if your moment of recognition creates tension rather than shared happiness. Subtle jealousy usually develops when your achievements highlight areas where the other person feels insecure or dissatisfied in their own life. Instead of addressing those feelings honestly, they cope by making light of your progress or quietly questioning it. Over time, this behavior creates an atmosphere where encouragement feels conditional, and the support you receive seems mixed with underlying discomfort about seeing you succeed. Another revealing behavior of someone who secretly dislikes you is the way their support changes depending on who is watching. In public settings, they may appear friendly, encouraging, and even proud of your accomplishments. Around others, they might compliment you, agree with your ideas, or act as if they fully support you. To outside observers, the relationship may look positive and cooperative. However, the dynamic often shifts when you are alone with them. In private conversations, the tone becomes noticeably different. The encouragement that was present in public may disappear and be replaced with criticism, doubt, or indifference. For example, in front of a group, they might praise your idea or say they believe in your plan. But later, when no one else is around, they begin questioning whether your idea will actually work or suggesting that you might not be ready for such a step. The contrast between the two environments can feel confusing because their public behavior suggests support, while their private comments slowly undermine your confidence. This pattern often exists because the person wants to maintain a positive image. Acting supportive in public protects their reputation and prevents others from seeing any tension between you. At the same time, their private criticism allows them to express their hidden resentment without risking social consequences. It becomes a controlled way for them to appear kind while still weakening your progress behind the scenes. Another sign of this behavior is selective encouragement. They may publicly celebrate moments that make them look generous or friendly, but they withdraw support when it actually matters, such as when you need honest advice, collaboration, or motivation. Their encouragement becomes more about appearances than genuine belief in your success. Over time, this inconsistency creates a subtle emotional imbalance. You may start feeling uncertain about where you truly stand with them because their words and actions shift depending on the audience around you. Before we continue, take a second to reflect. If you're enjoying this and want more insights about psychology, relationships, and human behavior, make sure to like the video and subscribe. It helps the channel grow and lets me bring you more content like this. Another strong indicator that someone secretly dislikes you is their tendency to talk about you behind your back. Gossip is often disguised as casual conversation, concern, or storytelling. But when it repeatedly focuses on highlighting your mistakes, flaws, or personal matters, it becomes a subtle form of reputation damage. Instead of addressing issues with you directly, the person shares negative details about you with others, shaping how people perceive you without giving you a chance to respond. This behavior usually begins in small ways. They might mention a mistake you made in a conversation with someone else, framing it as an innocent comment. For example, they might say something like, "I hope everything is okay with them lately. They seemed really unprepared during that meeting." On the surface, it sounds like concern, but the comment quietly paints you in a negative light. Over time, these small remarks accumulate and influence how others view your competence or character. People who secretly resent you often rely on gossip because it allows them to express their negative feelings indirectly. Instead of confronting you openly, which could create conflict or expose their intentions, they choose a safer route by spreading selective information. This way, they maintain a friendly appearance when interacting with you, while simultaneously shaping a different narrative about you elsewhere. Another common tactic is exaggerating or twisting events. A minor misunderstanding can be retold as a major mistake, or a normal disagreement can be described as a serious conflict. By slightly altering the story each time it is shared, the person gradually builds an image of you that may not accurately reflect reality. This behavior is particularly harmful because it operates quietly. You may not even realize it is happening until you notice changes in how others treat you or respond to your ideas. Trust can erode without a clear explanation, leaving you confused about why people suddenly seem distant or skeptical around you. One of the most revealing signs that someone secretly dislikes you appears during the moments when you face difficulties or setbacks. Genuine friends and supportive people usually respond with empathy when something goes wrong in your life. They offer encouragement, listen to your concerns, and try to help you recover from the situation. In contrast, a person who secretly resents you often reacts in a noticeably different way. Their response may seem neutral or polite on the surface, but there is a subtle lack of concern or emotional warmth that becomes noticeable over time. Sometimes this reaction shows up as indifference. When you share a challenge, disappointment, or failure, they may respond with short, detached comments like, "That's unfortunate," or "things happen," without showing real interest in what you are experiencing. They may quickly change the subject or avoid discussing the situation further. This emotional distance can feel unusual, especially if you would normally expect a friend to be more engaged or supportive. In other cases, their reaction may carry a faint sense of satisfaction that is difficult to describe but easy to feel. They might ask questions that seem less about helping and more about highlighting what went wrong. For example, instead of focusing on how you can move forward, they may repeatedly bring attention to the mistake itself. Their tone may contain curiosity rather than empathy, as if your setback confirms something they already believed about you. Another pattern is subtle comparison. When you mention your struggle, they may immediately talk about how they handled a similar situation better, or how someone else succeeded where you did not. This shifts the focus away from your experience and reinforces the idea that your difficulty reflects personal weakness. This behavior often stems from hidden resentment or insecurity. Your challenges provide them with a quiet sense of balance because your struggles temporarily reduce the gap between your progress and their own situation. Another behavior that can reveal hidden resentment is emotional distance combined with selective support. People who secretly dislike you often maintain a surface-level connection, but they avoid offering consistent emotional investment in the relationship. At times, they may appear friendly, but their involvement tends to be limited, inconsistent, or dependent on circumstances that benefit them. This distance is usually subtle. They might respond to your messages slowly or give short, minimal replies that keep the conversation from developing further. When you share something meaningful about your life, their reactions may seem polite but lack real curiosity or engagement. Instead of asking questions or showing genuine interest, they may acknowledge what you said and quickly move on. Over time, the interaction begins to feel one-sided, as if the effort to maintain the connection mostly comes from you. Selective support is another part of this pattern. The person may show encouragement when the situation is simple or when others are watching, but they tend to disappear when you actually need support. For example, they might congratulate you publicly or casually say they are happy for you, yet they rarely offer help, advice, or time when challenges arise. Their involvement seems limited to moments that require little effort from them. This behavior also appears when they choose which aspects of your life to acknowledge. They might show interest in topics that are convenient or entertaining, but when it comes to your goals, struggles, or achievements, their engagement fades. This creates a quiet imbalance where you may feel that your important moments receive less attention than expected. Over time, emotional distance and selective support can create confusion because the relationship never fully breaks down, yet it never feels genuinely supportive either. The person remains present enough to maintain contact, but distant enough to avoid contributing positively to your growth or well-being. Another subtle sign that someone may secretly resent you is their habit of creating unnecessary doubt around your decisions and ideas. Instead of openly criticizing you, they repeatedly question your choices in ways that seem concerned or cautious on the surface, but gradually weaken your confidence. This behavior often appears as constant skepticism disguised as advice. For example, when you share a new plan or goal, supportive people usually respond with curiosity or encouragement. They might ask thoughtful questions or offer ideas that help you improve your approach. However, a person who secretly dislikes you tends to focus mainly on what could go wrong. They might say things like, "Are you sure that's a good idea?" or "That sounds risky." While occasional caution can be helpful, the pattern becomes noticeable when nearly every decision you make is met with doubt. Over time, this skepticism can make you feel as if your judgment is always under scrutiny. Instead of feeling motivated to pursue your goals, you may start second-guessing yourself. The person may not directly tell you that you cannot succeed, but their repeated questioning subtly plants uncertainty in your mind. Sometimes this behavior also includes highlighting past mistakes. When you talk about trying something new, they may remind you of a previous failure or a situation that did not go well. Their intention may appear to be protective, but the timing and repetition often reveal a deeper motive: keeping your expectations low. This approach allows them to influence your confidence without appearing openly negative. If you react defensively, they can claim they were only trying to help, or that they were being realistic. Because the comments are framed as practical advice, it becomes difficult to challenge them without seeming unreasonable. Gradually, this pattern creates an environment where your enthusiasm and motivation are quietly reduced through constant hesitation and doubt. When someone secretly dislikes you, the truth rarely appears through open confrontation. Instead, it reveals itself through patterns, small behaviors that quietly repeat over time. Backhanded compliments, minimizing your achievements, subtle jealousy, public support paired with private criticism, gossip behind your back, indifference to your struggles, emotional distance, and constant doubt around your decisions are not random moments. Together, they form a clear picture of hidden resentment. The important thing to remember is that recognizing these signs is not about becoming suspicious of everyone around you. It is about becoming aware of how people's actions affect your confidence, energy, and peace of mind. Not everyone who questions you or disagrees with you secretly hates you. Healthy relationships include honest feedback and different opinions. The difference lies in the pattern and intention behind the behavior. Genuine supporters challenge you while still wanting to see you grow, succeed, and feel valued. Awareness gives you something powerful: choice. Once you recognize these behaviors, you can decide how much influence those people should have in your life. You can set boundaries, limit how much personal information you share, and focus your energy on relationships that are truly supportive. Your time, trust, and emotional space are valuable, and they should be invested in people who celebrate your growth rather than quietly resisting it. At the same time, this awareness also encourages self-reflection. Sometimes understanding these patterns helps us become more mindful of our own behavior toward others. The goal is not just to protect ourselves from hidden negativity, but also to create healthier, more honest connections. When you learn to recognize these subtle signals, you stop being controlled by them. Instead of doubting yourself or seeking approval from the wrong people, you begin to surround yourself with those who genuinely respect your journey and want to see you move forward.